I would recommend expanding the Belt and Road Initiative. It has come into some doubt because many countries that are in the BRI program have some measure of debt distress right now. But my view is that what China should be doing is lending more to these countries, but at longer term. So rather than BRI being financed at 10-year maturities, BRI should be financed at 20 or 30-year maturities, giving time for the borrowing countries to achieve sustained high growth rates and thereby to service the debts from the China Development Bank or from AIIB or from the New Development Bank or from other Chinese financial institutions. So my next piece of advice is longer maturities on BRI. Keep expanding exports, expand the Belt and Road Initiative, extend the maturities of the funding of the Belt and Road Initiative. My fourth piece of advice, if I might, is to allow the yen, or the yuan, the renminbi, to depreciate more, not to take the U.S. threat or to view a strong renminbi as a mark of honor. The U.S. is protectionist. In response to U.S. protectionism, it makes perfect sense for the renminbi to depreciate against the U.S. dollar. It's basic economics. So I would not try to defend the yuan or the renminbi against the dollar. I would allow some depreciation. The fact that Trump threatens a kind of retaliation for that is evidence that it's the right kind of policy, in fact. It's not manipulation. It's what the market requires in the face of high protectionism. In addition to finding these new export markets, and part through extended financing of BRI, I would also recommend accelerating investments within China. So not just a consumption or budget deficit-led growth, but an accelerated investment program and public investment. Where would that be? Mainly in the energy and the digital transformation. China has a lot of energy transformation to get to a decarbonized energy system. It has all the technologies needed for that. It is important for China and the world that the energy system should be decarbonized. And I believe that China can and should lead the way. And that involves also increased rates of public investment. Yes, some of that will be deficit financed, but that's because it's not financing consumption, it's financing long-term infrastructure investment. I think two other quick points that I'd like to mention. In the context of a increasingly broken trading system, I do believe that there needs to be a true alternative to the dollar-based payments mechanism. The U.S., unfortunately, has not only gone protectionist, but it has weaponized the U.S. dollar. It's done that especially, of course, vis-a-vis Russia, Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, and other countries that are deemed to be geopolitical adversaries of the United States. It's frozen their reserves. It's confiscated foreign exchange. It has blocked payments. It has thrown Russia out of the SWIFT banking system and so forth. But China is very much affected by all of this because China's trade with its natural trading partners is also impeded, including by the threat of secondary sanctions. And for this reason, the BRICS have talked about introducing non-dollar payments. I believe that this is absolutely the right thing to do if the United States weaponizes the dollar, which unfortunately it has. My own advice to the U.S. macro authorities repeatedly was do not confiscate other countries' reserves and do not apply unilateral or secondary sanctions. But the U.S. Wants to weaponize the currency, and then the BRICS have to respond. Of course, the renminbi will be central in that response. It's unavoidable, in truth. And I believe that a digital central bank digital currency, as already the People's Bank of China has been experimenting, can go international and can be the basis of international non-dollar payments. So I would recommend accelerating the digital central bank currency arrangements, especially among the BRICS, as a basic precaution also for China if things get really heated with the United States, which, sad to say, is not impossible. My final point is that all of these shocks hitting China, especially the geopolitical shocks and the protectionism, require a very clear macroeconomic modeling analysis. In other words, to explore the real alternative options that China faces. If China simply accepts that a slowdown means larger budget deficits to finance consumption, I think it will not be making the correct assessment of the situation. I personally would recommend continued high investment rates and continued export growth rates, but using finance as the instrument for achieving both of those goals. China is the world's high-saving economy. China's interest rates, because of that, remain very low. The prospects, therefore, to finance export growth and to finance domestic investment are strong. And that is the macro approach I would recommend, because I believe that China's continued rapid economic development is in China's interest and in the world's interest. So thank you very much for letting me share these thoughts with you today. I hope that was helpful enough, and I look forward to the chance to be together with you in person to continue this discussion at this very important time. Thank you very much.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹饪。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。